Hi, I'm Lester, the Cost Engineer, and I'm going to show you a method to evolve a quantity surveyors report through into a program in Asta Powerproject. Asta Powerproject is the best project management software for construction. I know there are other options out there, but really this is the best product. So first of all, hopefully you've got a report from your quantity surveyor. So I'm going to show you how to evolve this program here with these linked tasks, all these items, with the hours and the budgets from this spreadsheet. And this is the spreadsheet report that's come from the quantity surveyor. So we're going to sanitize this and move it through into Asta so that we can see the program laid out. A very simple process. This particular one is a large renovation on a property. It's a residential property in Auckland. As I go through the process, I create new sheets by copying the original one. So I go right click there, you can see move a copy here, original there, tick it there, create copy and go OK. Now I have the original and original 2. I rename this and I'll call that B1. So this is the next sheet, the next part of the process I'm going to work on. I've copied a previous job that was done for this builder, and I've got his Asta Powerproject program here, and I've emptied the columns. So what I want to do is sort my columns in Asta Powerproject so that when I bring my Excel data in, it's going to make sense. So if you look here, we've got name, which is really description. I'm going to want the cost column, but I might not want it just there. Duration I definitely want, start and finish will help. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to remove some of these columns. I can add them back in later, of course. And then I'm going to move this cost column here. So if you click on that column, then go up here, you'll see these double arrows and you drag across. And I've moved that column. Just change my layout. As a reminder to add columns back in, you just right click in the grey area and you can see here add columns in all the categories. So what I really wanted to get here was name, duration, and I think I'll put cost back because I'm going to import it with the cost column right beside it. I can move that back over later. So name, duration, cost, that's how I want my layout. The next stage I'm going to do is go back to my Excel spreadsheet. Now that I'm back at the spreadsheet, you can see here that I've got all this banner stuff at the top, which I don't need, and I really want to get rid of that. So I'm just going to highlight those rows there and get down to that one that's got the description or the titles there. And I'm just going to go right click and delete. Okay. Now I want to know where the data is, and you can see if I click on there it says A5, A6, A7, so my descriptions here are all in the A column. Now the next thing I suspect is that these columns, if you have a look here, B, C, D, E, I suspect there's some merging of cells across these columns. So what I'm going to do is highlight, oh there's another, sometimes when you get these reports out you find these picture frames. See that? When I click that it says picture 1, so you just delete those because they aren't needed for the import and they'll mess things up. Now I'm going to try and remove some of these columns. As you can see up here I've got A, B, C, D, E. So there's a risk that the data is a merged cell. So when I click on description you can see that it actually highlights A, B, C, D, E, F columns. So I know that's a merged cell. So to unmerge a cell, once you've clicked on that you can see under here, which is in the home tab, under alignment you'll see merge and center and go unmerge. See that? And now it's only in the A column. So to unmerge everything, just hit on the corner there, highlights all the cells at once, go to merge center here and go unmerge. You can see what's happened. I've suddenly got data bunched up into these columns here, the A column. So to open that up, just double click on the side of the A. If you click on the row, you can see the double arrowhead there. Double click and now I've got all that lined out there. So now I know that column B through to column F are all unmerged and therefore not needed, so I can delete those. So if I highlight that, right click, delete. Another issue I have is wrapped text. So see this row 13 here, 13A. If I click in here, you can see it highlights that wrapped text. So wrapped text is a function that's in Excel so that you can have data going down, spilling down through lines, making the row itself wider. And I don't think I want that when I import that to Excel. Also, the description here is quite long, and I don't think I want it like that as well. So I'm going to do two things here. First of all, I'm going to unwrap all the text. So I'm going to highlight column A, and I'm going to click on the wrap text button up here, and it unwraps the text. Now the issue I've got here is it takes this text down to very, very small text in here just to fit it into that column width. So I've got two things I could do. I could highlight the whole column and double click, and it will open that column out to being very wide again. Or I could go to each of these cells and click on them and get rid of the extra detail that I don't need. So at this point, I think I'll just get rid of some of the extra text on these ones as my solution. So that was a skinny one. I'll get rid of the text. Here's another one. I'll get rid of the extra text. You can see now that I got rid of the extra text that some of these lines are wider than I need them, some of these rows. So you can either click on them individually and once again hit the bottom line, and you can see the double arrow head. So by clicking that, you see it narrows it down to the width of the text. Or you could do the same, just do it like that. Come down here to one of the lines and double click like that, and now we have all the text compressed. But the problem you'll see with that is it's actually compressed all my numbers over here as well. I don't want that just yet, so I think I'll leave the compression to a bit later. I'll undo it. You see the undo button up here, and we'll have our figures back to what they looked like before. At this point, I'm going to copy the spreadsheet again and make V2. So by right clicking down here, and you go to move copy, go to V1, tick, OK. Now you can see we've got V2. I'm just going to put that to the right there just for organizing. Right click, rename, get rid of some of the extra detail here, and I've got my next spreadsheet. So keep in mind I'm doing this just so I can track my changes, and if I stuff something up I can go back quite easily. I'm now happy with my description column, so all the names look the way I want them to, with a single row of text and also the reference numbers at the end. I'm going to look across here and you can see row D. It's not quite wide enough, so I'll just click that, double click, and it brings it out wider for me. Now the next thing I want to address is these hours, and I'm going to make sure I've got data all the way down on those hours, and I'm going to show you how to modify the hours for importing. The first thing I want to do is first of all copy this. So right click there, move a copy, copy V2, click there, create copy, go OK. Rename V3, and I'll just realign that so I have V1, V2, V3. So I'm up to V3 for the sheets and the versions. So I've just gone over to Asta for a second because I want to show you something. When you put the hours in for duration, you want them to go in the way that Asta likes the format. So the real point is that the unit we have in the Excel spreadsheet is hours, and Asta will take seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, whatever. So if I type 1W, that's 1 week. If I type 1 day, see that's 1 day. But what of course I want is to have the data come through as hours, so it'll be 111H like that. So we're going to have to bring our data through with an H at the end of the number. So the next part of the improvement to the Excel spreadsheet is to get the data showing the number with the H at the end. So we'll go back to the spreadsheet. So you can see down here I've got 675 and the hours there, and we really want it as 675H. But there's something else as well I want, and that is that these description headers here, I want those to come through with no hours, because that 770 there is the sum of these hours here. So I'm going to change those to 0, all the blue ones like that, all the way through. So you can see now that everywhere I had a header, it is a 0 figure. So I've finished doing that. So at this point I'm going to make another copy of my spreadsheet. So right click down here, right click, move a copy, take my V3, make a V4, rename V4, drag it over to the end like that, and I'm about to simplify this down even further. So I've got my numbers there. I no longer need the quantity there, the column, so I'm going to right click delete. Okay. I don't want this unit column because it's all in hours and not H. So I've got two choices here. I can either delete that and create a new one, or I just start at the top with an H like that, which is what I really want. And I'm just going to highlight that one, get the crosshairs here and drag it all the way down so that that column has H beside all my numbers. Now for my report in Asta, I'm not going to need these hourly rates here. So I'm going to empty this column out and I'm going to use it for another purpose. So if I click on that whole column and push delete, it's empty. Now this is the interesting part that you really want to take note of. What I want now is 0H, 675H. So how do I do that? Well, it's actually quite simple. You just go, click in your cell, goes equals that cell, and use the and click that cell and push enter, and there you have it, 0H. And then if I click that cell, hit the crosshairs and drag down, I now have a row. Look at that. So I've obviously missed a step. I thought I'd covered that in the earlier part. Obviously I haven't, so I'm going to show you how to do that in the next part now. So I'm going to go Control Home on my keyboard, which will take me back to the top. And I'm going to use the undo function here and undo what I just did. So by clicking on here, you can see all the decimal places. So I know I have numbers in here that have a huge amount of decimal places. What I really want is numbers with, say, no more than 2 decimal places. If you click in a cell over here and you do this, you use this formula, equals round, like that, bracket, highlight the cell that you want to round, comma, 2 for 2 decimal places, bracket. So you can see here now I have the number that's rounded to 2 decimal places. So by doing the highlight the cell and find the crosshairs and pulling it up to the top, you can see now that I have those same numbers but rounded to 2 decimal places. I'm going to now copy this, right click copy, and I'm going to replace this one over here by right click paste values. So right click paste, see the 1, 2, 3 there, values, and now those numbers sitting in here should be to 2 decimal places. I can probably get rid of this column here now, and I can go about merging my units through. So I've got 0 and H, 6, 7, 5 and H. So how do I go about that? Well, repeat the process, equals number and H, enter, and click, find crosshairs, scroll down, and there we have it. So we have our numbers with a simple H at the end for importing into Asta Powerproject. So now I'm going to make a copy of this spreadsheet. So if you right click, move copy, V4, copy, OK, right click, rename, V5, and put V5 on the right of V4. And now we have the data we want, but we don't need these columns anymore. So I'm going to get rid of these. And I'm going to get rid of this one here because I don't need to know that for Asta. So now what I've got is my descriptions here, the names of the actions. Then I've got the hours here, and then I've got the total dollars for each of those actions. You can also see down here I've got a few gaps. Now where you have no data in certain columns, like here for the total cost, just make sure you put a 0 in those so that when it imports it has data to refer to. And away we go. So once we have those zeros in, go Control Home, we're back at the top of the page. You can see now we have the description, the hours and the total cost. And that's really what we wanted to import into Asta. So I'm going to save this now. I'm going to get rid of this header here, I don't need that. And this should be the making of what you want to import through into Asta. Okay, we're ready to import this data through into Asta. So let me reiterate something. We have the description over here in column A, then we have the hours here in B with an H at the end of each of the hours, and then we have the budget of the costs here. So you copy all these cells. So you go through to Asta, you'd see name, duration, which is the hours and cost. Right click in the grey cell up here at the top, and paste values. And as you can see, it's brought it all through. So what you can see is we have the description, we have the hours, and we have the budgets. Obviously the dates don't make sense yet, and we have to set up all of our links and our dependencies, and I'll cover that in the next video. That's the way of getting a report from a quantity surveyor, using that report as the method to create your building program, which makes sense because you have the hours and the budgets. So there you go, we've taken a quantity surveyor's report, sanitized it in Microsoft Excel and imported the data so that we can lay out our project or our program. So the next stage is to modify this to become a true program with its timelines and links. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you get the benefit of seeing all the future videos on this topic. Thank you. I'm Lester, the Cost Engineer. If you want to know more, here are all the buttons and resources that you need. Just use these links to go places. Don't forget to share this video with friends who you think might need this video.